All right. Welcome to General Nerdities, a place where we discuss all things general nerd culture, from video games, comic books, TV shows, and more. We're your hosts, Jake and Alex, and this week for our very first episode, we're going to be discussing The Mandalorian, and I want to go ahead and start off with getting your thoughts on the finale.
So the finale, I enjoy it. There was at least one point where I was brought to tears. But yeah, no, it hit on everything that I really wanted to see. Brought a good end to.
Did it really bring on an end to Moff Gideon though?
I mean, for the foreseeable future, yeah. I mean, he's going to be locked up. I would imagine. I don't know what, if any, kind of stuff he's going to play into for the Mandalorian. Maybe that's the one of the spin-offs that he's going to go into. But yeah, I mean, it was. I liked him being utilized as a villain, and I thought that was a cool way how even at the end of everything, he ended up being like the mastermind behind getting basically inciting a conflict between Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian. I thought that was really clever writing.
Yeah, basically setting up the what season 3 could possibly end up being about.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciated that.
No, I dug the episode too. Everything that like 10-year-old fanboy me, kind of really wanted to see out of it. A fully realized Luke Skywalker just going nuts on a whole bunch of dark troopers. I'd say the only thing that I was kind of bummed about was the fact that Bo-Katan didn't really get to fight any of the dark troopers, because to me, like, I just wanted to see Starbuck going nuts on a whole bunch of Cylons. Like, that's what it's.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, that was. I mean, I'm so glad they brought back Luke. But yeah, I was looking forward to. Okay, deep cut. Yeah, Starbuck, the actress playing Bo-Katan, against what essentially looked like a bunch of badass Cylons. But I would have appreciated like the Mandalorians going toe to toe with these kind of things. But I guess we did get a taste of that with the Mandalorian against the One. So. But yeah, no, that would have been fun.
The Mandalorian getting his head repeatedly beat into the wall.
But his armor didn't crack, so, all he has to worry about is CTE.
I was going to say, I don't think concussions work that way.
He'll be fine. It's Star Wars.
So, as much as I loved it, I feel like Luke was a bit of a cop-out. It was the easy answer. Like, when they made the episode, like, I was happy with it. I enjoyed it and everything, but I also look back at it and go, like, yeah, if I was going to make a super predictable episode, what would it be? And this is exactly what it would have been. Whoever Grogu was reaching out to, like, Luke was the easy answer to that, when it could have been several other people, at least, off the top of my head, that he might have been able to. The other easy one, or semi-easier one, might have been Ezra, but it seems to me that maybe they're trying to save her for the Ahsoka arc, so...
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I do feel like this was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau really, one, kind of distancing themselves from the sequel trilogy, which I think didn't land as strongly as Disney would have liked. So them bringing back Luke and giving him again, like you said, the Luke Skywalker that we had always envisioned from the time we started watching Star Wars as kids. So I think that was just like a little bit of fan service and a little bit of, just something to intrigue us. But I do see your point. Could they have gone with Ezra? I would have loved to see Ahsoka come back somehow. Granted, that wouldn't have fit with the whole, like, she's not trying to train Grogu or Baby Yoda or whatever. It was, I guess, the simpler option, but... the 10-year-old in me just, like, absolutely fucking was so enamored with seeing Luke on screen again. Though I do wish they had, cast him with someone real. The whole Uncanny Valley thing. I mean, Sebastian Stan, Disney already has him on contract, and he looks just like a young Mark Hamill, so I don't understand.
There are a lot of people that are even speculating that they just kind of wanted to save that for later, that they still plan on possibly using him for Luke, but they're just kind of holding on to that card. I don't know, the CG or however they did it, I didn't think it looked really good. It's kind of going back to the old, was it Moff Tarkin? His CG didn't look
Hmm.
very good, and even some of Leia's in the last
Yeah,
movie didn't look that great.
I do remember there was some news that Disney had secured the digital rights to Mark Hamill's likeness for the foreseeable future. And this is kind of something they've been, I guess, in the back rooms, kind of playing around with, like, how do we, if we wanted to make an entire Luke series, could we essentially do that with this kind of CGI and whatnot? And again, I would much rather you just get a real person to play it. But hey, I was glad to see Luke. You know, again, as soon as you saw that leather hand pop out from when he started taking down the troopers in the hangar bay, like those that feeling of like this is the. I actually had to ask my wife, is that's a green lightsaber, right? Because I can get green and orange mixed up. But I'm like, that's green, right? Like I'm not getting my hopes up for nothing, and yeah, it made me happy.
Yeah, the little cameo of R2 for no apparent
Oh my
reason,
god!
honestly, was a nice
I
little
mean,
touch.
because him and R2 are always buddies. Like,
Yeah.
assuming that like Luke is going piloting his X-wing, like R2's his co-pilot. I could totally see him just coming around there, doing his thing, being R2.
Yeah. Oh.
I dug it.
Yeah, I did too. Another thing that was just kind of weird to me is that he showed up and he basically just said, the only thing I actually remember him saying right now is that uh, he's waiting on your permission. Like that's all he told to Mando before they left, and then he gave him to Mando and he went away. And I think he said he'd give his life for him too, something like that.
Yeah,
But he just like he took him and went away. And Mando's he wasn't like, hey, by the way, can I like get your number? Like, hey, where are you going? Can I come visit or anything like that? He's very clearly not familiar with the ways of the Jedi. Um, so it's just kind of weird to me. It's like, okay, here's this little green dude that I made like a really good relationship with. You can have him by.
yeah, but I mean, Mando does have like that little moment, like I'll see you again. I think he even promised him something along those lines, like I'm gonna see you again.
Which makes it even weirder that he's just not like, hey, where are you going?
I get. I mean, I don't think they have phone numbers in this galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll hand wave some of that away.
Maybe Luke's going somewhere without cell service. I don't know.
Yeah. No. I'm just. The plot will bring them back together somehow. The Force will bring them back together somehow.
The Force acts in mysterious ways.
It really does.
No, I really do. I really do think that Grogu will probably find his way back next season. Otherwise, like if he doesn't find his way back to Mando, then essentially doesn't that mean that Kylo Ren kills him?
So, okay, I was actually thinking about this. Grogu could not necessarily find his way back to Mando, but could part ways with Luke for a myriad of reasons. I think part of what's going to happen is like I really do think Luke's going to try his best to kind of train this little dude, but he already has a strong emotional connection to Mando. And, as Ahsoka pointed out a couple episodes earlier, that that those strong emotions can mess with you when you're trying to pursue the Jedi ways. And knowing that Luke tries to essentially resurrect the same Jedi Order, there's a possibility that Grogu finds his way somewhere else. Maybe he gets kidnapped again. He's small enough; he can get stolen. So I don't know if he necessarily has to get back into Mando's arms somehow, some way. But I don't know. I think the entire galaxy is going to be hunting him down now, and I don't think him and Luke are going to be together for much longer.
I think I was reading or I saw something today that said that the Kylo Ren massacring the Academy is only like 17 years away at this point, which Grogu's only about 50, which would make him, let's call it 67 for fun's sake. He's still essentially like a toddler. In his age, like the way, not a toddler. He's clearly shown to be a little bit more cognitive, but yeah, he's kind of a child. I don't know how much 17 more years for him would be developmentally. He may still be this, relatively helpless. They may not be, all badass Yoda until they're like 200, you know? Because Yoda
That's
lived to
fair.
be like 700, 800, something like that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know, man. Like, look, I think a lot of the former Imperials are going to be after Yoda or Baby Yoda or Grogu or whatever. And I think him and Luke will part ways fairly quickly. I don't think Grogu would have stayed around that long for him and Kylo's kind of timeline to intersect.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure, Dave Filoni kind of working with John Favreau. Like, as long as Dave Filoni's got his hands in on something,
Yeah,
like I'm on board. We'll see where it goes. I'm sure they have a plan. But I don't know.
yeah, I trust Dave.
Speaking of having a plan, uh, what's up with the whole Darksaber thing? Because here's my issue: Mando defeated Moff Gideon. He didn't kill him,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. I want to be clear on that.
Yes.
And got the Darksaber, and now Bo-Katan is saying that he's the right, or they're essentially saying that Bo-Katan has to kill Mando to get it, although Mando didn't kill to get it in the first place. And when Bo-Katan originally got the Darksaber, Sabine gave it to her. Like, legit, just here, take the Darksaber. You can have it. So,
Hmm.
like, why is it all of a sudden an issue that Mando clearly doesn't want it. He could care less about the politics of, ruling Mandalore, at least as of right now. Um, I don't understand why all of a sudden, like, she accepted this gift once before. Why can't she do it again? Is it a pride thing between her and Moff Gideon? I've read some rumors or some fan theories that Moff Gideon didn't actually steal the saber from Bo-Katan, that he actually defeated her in one-on-one combat
Mm.
and took the saber rightfully, and that's why she's that could be why she's all proud about it. But I don't know.
That makes
What do you think?
sense. So I think going back to Sabine and Clone Wars, when Sabine handed the Darksaber off, she was a politician. She was very adamant that she's done with the old ways of Mandalore. And from my understanding, she didn't win it in combat either. Was that right?
Yes, Sabine
Yeah,
Sabine got it from Dathomir. Darth
yeah,
Maul had just left it on Dathomir before he died.
yeah. So Sabine getting the Darksaber and handing it off again. She's a politician. She's not part of the warrior clan or the warrior mindset of Mandalore. So I think that's a clear differentiation versus I believe that Moff Gideon probably bested Bo-Katan some way or another in combat, and she needed to redeem herself in order to reclaim that rightful throne. And then Moff Gideon even talks about this a little bit of it's not the blade that brings power. It's the story of, she has to win in a combat. It's the story that goes along with this. And since you have technically defeated me, she has to defeat you. And for whatever reason, I don't believe that she's going to go easy on him or, that. I think that, they would probably have to fight to the death. I don't know. Because clearly, like you said, Mando clearly doesn't want the responsibility. He could care less. But she needs to prove herself, and in order to do that, she probably thinks that she would need to take his life. And clearly, Mendo doesn't want to die. So I think that sets up a fairly interesting third season, or at least a subplot for the third season.
Yeah, and I think it would be it. What's interesting to me is that Din Djarin himself, Mando, he is part of. At least the way I'm understanding, it's kind of going in circles. He's part of the what was formerly
Death
known as the
Watch.
Death Watch, which
Yeah,
he's a child of the Watch, which are part of the I can't remember the tribe, which I guess is what
yeah,
they're being called now.
yeah,
Which in Clone Wars, uh, Bo-Katan was a member of Death Watch. So Bo-Katan left to create and ended up creating the Night Owls. Yeah, the Night
yeah.
Owls, which is what they are now. So now is this leading to the Night Owls versus the Death Watch, or the tribe, or
The
whatever they're calling
tribe,
themselves now, or and
maybe.
starting to fight over the actual politics of Mandalore and restoring Mandalore?
Maybe. So because I'm so curious as to would the tribe or the Children of the Watch even want to go back to Mandalore? I mean, so that clearly Mando, like in the first season, was gathering resources, and the Beskar, the armor said, some of this is going to go to some of the younglings that will some of the, I guess, the kids in training they had. So I mean, clearly they're trying to rebuild some form of Mandalore, but are they really actively trying to go back to the Mandalorian planet and rebuild that way? I'm curious.
I don't see why they wouldn't want to. Granted, the Empire legitimately blasted it to like sand and glass. Like the planet's borderline like Tatooine now. It's just a desert. But the Death Watch, their whole thing has always been to restore them to the original Mandalorian ways. Like they've been fanatical in that way. And so I would think that the Death Watch, more than anybody, wants to actually get back to the planet of Mandalore.
But if that was so, then wouldn't you think Mando would have at least some semblance of that kind of belief and then fight for the Darksaber?
It doesn't seem to me that Mando even knows anything about actual Mandalorian culture. He just kind of knows what his little cult that kidnapped him from a war zone has told him and brainwashed him.
That's what I'm saying. But if they hadn't, if it was so important to them, wouldn't they have instilled that into him while they were brainwashing him or raising him up from a child?
Yeah, I would assume so. I don't know. Politics are weird, man. They tell you one thing when they want another.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah. Look, all I know is I am very interested in seeing a showdown versus Mando versus Bo-Katan. See what that's gonna end up like. Like, I think there's a lot of really smart ways they can go with that. Either them coming together, them actually having a realistic fist fight, which that's probably the least interesting option. But what are these two tribes or sects of Mandalore going to do when they're really pitted against each other? I think that's a really interesting way to take on at least some storyline for season 3.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's also a really good opportunity to start introducing the other clans of Mandalore and bringing in. Obviously, I think we're going to get to see who the leader is of the Death Watch right now.
Yeah.
Whoever, it was always, I want to say it was like Clan Vizsla was always in charge or something like that originally. I can't remember off the top of my head. But getting them in and maybe, Sabine and her family, their clan starting to come into the mix. I think Sabine would be a really good mix. I could see her coming from, the Ahsoka series over to Mandalorian or wherever that may be.
Didn't Sabine die?
No.
In Clone Wars?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
You're not thinking of Sabine's from Rebels.
Wait, then who was the girl that who was the woman that Obi-Wan was in love with in the Clone Wars?
That was Bo-Katan's sister. I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Okay, all right. I may have gotten those characters mixed up.
The ruler of Mandalore, or the Queen of Mandalore for
okay.
Most of that series.
I did get them mixed up. That is my bad.
Yeah.
That's my bad. I need to go watch Clone Wars again. Also finish Rebels.
Yeah, definitely those. Do both of them. Multiple times.
Yes. Fair enough. That's fair. So yeah. So after this, I mean, so we've talked a little bit about where do you think the season's going to go in season 3 and beyond?
So I think that's exactly where it's going to go, is to really start focusing on Mandalorians and Mandalorian culture. Probably one thing that I'm actually kind of, in a weird way, sad about is that Grogu's gone. Where we got rid of that little fetch quest or that tutorial of, hey, this is how to be a Mandalorian, and now he's starting to actually get into everything that's going on instead of having this little thing take him on fetch quest to fetch quest. Now I think the real story has been introduced, where it's the warring factions of Mandalore, and we start to actually get to see what that looks like. What?
I love that you call it a fetch quest and a side quest. because that's exactly what
Well,
it is.
Baby Grogu, like in terms of like video games, if you really think about it, the way that I'm viewing it, the whole Grogu thing was just a long drawn out tutorial mission to a big RPG, and you kind of got to learn all the ins and outs of the world that you're in, the sandbox that you're in, and the different mechanics, and you start to learn about the politics of what's going on around, and now
Introduce the side
you
characters.
finished the tutorial, the groundwork is laid. Now you know what's going on. And you can kind of go forward into this open world. You know, all the little locked out sections of Grand Theft Auto are now opened up to you. You can go over the bridge.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah.
Hopefully, to me, they kind of, at least as far as the Mandalorian goes, just stay away from Force users for the most part, or
Yeah.
especially like. You know, I loved seeing Luke again. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sick of the Skywalkers, man. Give me some more Star Wars that has nothing to do with Skywalkers. It's supposed to be a freaking galaxy, a massive
Yeah.
galaxy. How do we keep running into these people? You know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Look. Okay. So I mean, 10,000 step view back. Yeah, the I think the sequel trilogy leaned a little too far into the Skywalkers and their importance. But I mean, I don't think there's any signal that Luke is going to become a major player in the Mandalorian or any of these kind of spin-off series. But yeah, no, I am very much of the mind like, yeah, we can get away from Force users for the time being. I think some of the more interesting episodes or like themes about this were like how people deal with things without Force users around. You know, it's always fun to see that, but you know, again, like you said, it's a huge galaxy, and let's explore all the facets of it.
Yeah, and that's one. I really wish it could have been anybody else but Luke that showed up. Like, it didn't have to be Ezra. I think Ezra meeting with Ahsoka is a really big deal. I think it's better off kind of going that way. But then there was like the I can't remember his name, the guy from Jedi Fallen Order, the red-haired guy. They literally cast a real actor to play the video game guy that could have brought him in to play him himself in there, which it didn't have to be. I haven't played that game yet, so I don't know that story. I'm looking forward to getting into it. One that I was really hoping that they'd introduce is Kyle Katarn from Legends. They've been kind of picking and pulling little pieces from Legends into canon, and when they were working with the Dark Troopers in Mandalorian, it kind of gave me just like that little bit of hope that, like, all right, maybe they'll bring Kyle Katarn in, because you know, at this point Kyle wouldn't be like he'd be Padawan-ish, like not very great at it, at least if we're sticking with Legends, and obviously there's no masters out there to be teaching him. But once again, the Force works in mysterious ways. You know, bring a couple people together, and Kyle Katarn had that background of actually. He destroyed like the original Dark Trooper project in the first Dark Forces game or something like that. So I was kind of hoping that there was that little pull in there to kind of get him in there. Anybody else, and that could have been a little bit more fun than Luke. But then it doesn't always have to be a Skywalker, man.
Have this one time, I'm okay with it being a Skywalker.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
A quick like, hey, bye. Like that's all. That's literally all I needed from Luke. Like, just hey, here's me at the peak of my power. I know what I'm doing. Allow me to rescue this child. I'm going to be the hero that you all remember me as, and then I'm going to just go away. That's again, so long as they don't bring him back and it's like, hey, I'm Luke again. Like, yeah, get away from him. But I can see what you. It was the. I guess one of the lesser interesting kind of options that they had in their kind of tool bag.
Yeah. What did you think of what direction do you think that they're gonna head in for season 3?
It's interesting. So I think like Moff Gideon still has some role to play somehow. I think a large part of this is going to be how do Bo-Katan and basically how do they get off the bridge? How do they get away from? So Bo clearly has Moff Gideon. How does she escape the situation, or how does she use the situation to her advantage?
And the scientists,
they kind of yeah. Oh yeah,
which are both big New Republic targets.
I want to see more about the cloning guy that looked like Dr. Hugo Strange from Batman.
He would be great Hugo Strange.
he looks exactly like
He really does.
he looked like Hugo Strange with fucking hair. It was just like, oh, they stole that character design. Okay. No, but,
His parents stole the character design when they made him.
So no, but I do hope they have Moff Gideon play. I guess. Look, he's clearly going to be trying to pull some strings from wherever he's imprisoned. I don't think Bo's going to kill him off, but I don't think you bring an actor like Juan Carlos Esposito to just do him away that simply. I think there's more for that actor and that character to do. So I think a large part of this is going to be the conflict between Bo and Mando, and then what Bo is going to do, setting up the rest of, trying to bring the Mandalorians back to Mandalore and resetting up that civilization. But I also I kind of hope that they don't get too heady with it too fast. I would love to see more about Mandalorian, about Mando, our central character, and where he's going to go, and does he find new sects within Death Watch or the Children of the Watch? Does he kind of go back and teach these people hey, maybe the way we've been thinking about things is a divide from the rest of the Mandalorians, and we're stronger together kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that also just kind of get him exiled.
Yeah, it's tough to say, but maybe if the Mandalorians recognize who their real enemies are, or if they really want to stop living in the shadows and living underground, is the way to do that by maybe because I think one of the stronger things they did with this series was allow Mando to kind of bend his rules. That rule of no living thing can see my face and I won't remove my helmet was so locked in, and in the first season when he takes off his helmet to receive medical attention from the droid, because technically the droid isn't living, that was a really heartfelt moment. But then again, you've seen him try and start to bend those rules with I think it was an episode or two ago, the Bill Burr episode. If it means am I allowed to bend my rules, bend my creed, if it's in service of my creed? If my creed is to protect this child, am I allowed to remove my helmet and break these other rules in service of that greater one? And I think that brings up an interesting question. Can you bend the rules of your creed to kind of defend the greater Mandalore purpose, and how far are they willing to stretch that? And I think, maybe we get a sliver of what the Mandalorian Civil War would have been like through these two new factions or multiple factions, and then how do they ultimately come together or destroy each other? But if they come together, how do they fight, being hunted by what's left of the Empire and all this other stuff? So I think that's a really interesting way they could take the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think you drive a good point. I think I could see him kind of returning to the Watch and kind of being a little irked or unwilling to kind of assimilate back in with having broken these rules and found that, hey, maybe it's not so bad, and then them kind of pushing him away because of it, and then finding his way, to the Night Owls or even some other faction out there, or maybe even find his way back to Boba Fett, who God knows what he's doing. Can we talk about his little spin-off thing at the end?
Yeah. Well,
the Book of Boba Fett.
If it's Boba Fett, the crime boss in outer space, I'm about it. Give me Narcos in the Star Wars universe. I think they can have a lot of fun with that. I think they don't necessarily need to be as serious. I think this could be it can be a more darker, grittier kind of thing. It could just be here's the how do we run spice, and how does Boba Fett build a criminal empire. One of the cooler things I like that they did with Darth Maul in the Clone Wars was him becoming a crime boss, realizing he could never take on Palpatine seriously, so he amassed his own power elsewhere. It's
Man, I wish they'd have taken that further, but anyway, sorry. I always wish they'd have just really made that bigger. I want to see the war of Darth Maul versus Darth Maul and his crime army versus Palpatine and the Empire.
So you know what? I think maybe Filoni is going back to the drawing board and all right, maybe I didn't get a chance to do that in Clone Wars, but here's my chance to do that with Boba Fett and essentially taking over the Hutt crime family, because the Hutts are an infamous crime family throughout the galaxy. How does he kind of wage war upon this? And I would imagine we're probably going to get some answer to how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. 2, how he got Slave 1 back, and 3, like just he clearly wants revenge over, or I mean, maybe he doesn't want revenge, but I think he would want to just establish his place and start eliminating the Hutts. I think that's fun, and give me all that kind of backdoor seedy action in the Star Wars universe. Give me something fresh and new. I'm about it.
Yeah, I think Crime Lord Boba is a really nice touch. I think it could be nothing but fun. I can't help but wonder if he's going to, the one loose end that he has that kind of screwed everything up is the reason that he got eaten by a Sarlacc pit. The reason he got stranded on Tatooine is Han, and Han's still out there. So maybe they try and clearly they're trying to make old actors young again with CG graphics and stuff. If they try and bring back maybe a Han and Chewie into it somehow, and him trying to get revenge or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, maybe so clearly the Han Solo movie didn't do gangbusters, but I wouldn't be surprised if they brought that actor back and had some story arcs of Boba Fett is hunting Han for various reasons. Just Boba Fett wants his revenge on. He could blame Han for everything that happened to him. So maybe he's going after that, and you bring that actor back, and they get kind of a fun little cat and mouse game where usually we're on the side of Han Solo, but what if right now we're on the side of Boba Fett? And I think that could be really interesting. I could see that.
It'd be a bit of a hard side to choose, honestly.
I mean, but I would at least appreciate them taking that. All right, well, what if we took this stance, this position that you're normally just locked into, and what if we just gave you the other side? All right, I'm down. Let's do it. What was Han doing in between all this time? What was he smuggling, or is he? I guess, has he started a family at this point? Is he settling down with Leia? Is he still doing his smuggling things?
You would assume Ben is born by this point, so I'd assume he's semi-settled down with Leia, and they're trying to build.
Yeah, I mean, they got
they're
divorced.
They're pretty worked on the New Republic. Yeah, but I mean, already? We're only 5 years from Return of the Jedi.
I mean, divorce happens quick.
It can. It doesn't have to.
It can.
I don't know. I don't know that one.
You know what? Maybe that's one of the reasons Han leaves, is because he thinks if Boba Fett's after him, his wife and child are in danger, and he's like, I gotta go, or else they're gonna keep coming after you. Maybe this is the inciting incident.
Doubtful, it's a little dark, but I liked the little trail, the journey that your brain went down just now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
What's up? No. I'm down for more Boba Fett. I want more things. I want more tangents in this universe. I want them to really explore the Star Wars universe that in the way the movies never really got to. And again, going away from Force users for a while and just giving me more of whatever else is out there. I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we finish up here, I think we, talking about Boba Fett and his new series is kind of a little bit of a rabbit hole. Disney just announced all these spin-offs and all these extra Star Wars shows they're doing. Kind of want to let's just talk on them, I guess, real briefly and get opinions on them before we finish up here. So the first one, the obvious one, they cameoed her in this season. Obviously, we're big fans. The Ahsoka show. What are your thoughts? Where do you think it's going?
Okay. First of all, yes, as you mentioned, Ahsoka, one of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars. One of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, honestly. I think the way they developed her, and shouts out to Filoni for developing her, from honestly the little brat that was in the movie to one of the most beloved characters in the entire Star Wars universe is phenomenal. But
she was a lovable brat. It wasn't a bad thing. Snips was awesome.
Yeah. Snips, I loved the relationship between her and Anakin and how that played out. It was heartbreaking. Try not to spoil anything here. Go watch Clone Wars.
Dude, it's been done for a long time. There's no spoilers. It's too late.
What? That's fair. No, the everything that went down between them was absolutely heartbreaking, and so Well, I think, and I think they've telegraphed this really well. Thrawn is going to be the antagonist for the Ahsoka show, and I'm okay with that. Like, I want to see her. Is she like, is this the samurai kind of going from village to village, freeing people and doing cool stuff? I don't know, but whatever they do. I think we both touched on this in some private conversations, but I think I hope that they would improve the fight choreography a little bit. Just Ahsoka was always so agile and nimble and quick, and well, they got the speed down for her. I think a lot of her choreography in the first episode was a little stiff. Granted, again, I'm also used to animation versus live action, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, no, I more Ahsoka is as long I have faith in Favreau and Filoni. I think they know her character. I think they know where they're going, and I need more of her.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for the Ahsoka series as well. Especially, Rosario Dawson. I think she's a great casting for all grown up Jedi Master or Gray Jedi Master or whatever she is at this point of her life. I think she's a really good casting for her. Yeah, my only gripe with her in the one episode that they did do was that she was really stiff for me. The choreography was just not quite there. Even more so, one of the things that really stuck out to me is Ahsoka's always been obviously she was in the show, a two-bladed fighter. She fights with two lightsabers. Well, that's something that actually, you kind of know this as a bit of a drummer yourself. It's one of those things that you actually have to connect your right arm and your left arm. They can't be making the same move at the same time. And most of Ahsoka's moves and Rosario Dawson's moves were like the same arm at the same time, just kind of coming down this way or stuff like that, or making mirrored movements and stuff like that. So it's just kind of, I don't know, with the Mandalorian, they have 2 extra actors just for Mandalorian doing stunts or choreography or whatever it is behind the scenes. The role of Ahsoka, she is a hooded character a lot of the time, at least in the episode that they gave us, and she's in heavy amounts of makeup. It cannot be that hard to get a good stunt double to do really good choreography for her. And so that's a really big sticking point for me. As long as they do that, I'm on board. It does seem really clear to me that Thrawn is the main antagonist of that. I've heard some people suggesting that Thrawn is essentially going to be the main antagonist of like all their side stories. So, the Rangers of the New Republic, for Mando, for everybody, it's going to be the big baddie that brings the eventual, crossover team up. The good old Marvel's The Defenders or whatever it was on Netflix.
Don't remind me of that. That's terrible. Hopefully they've learned their lesson. So
I haven't checked, but I really, really hope that Dave Filoni is running that from start to finish. As I said, I don't want anybody touching anything Ahsoka that isn't Dave Filoni, because
I would imagine he has a very heavy hand in it. Obviously, I think with Dave Filoni, we'll get into this a little bit. Like, he's directing the Bad Batch. I would imagine he's at least an executive producer, if not one of the writers or in the writers' room for Ahsoka, and really guiding that ship. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's a good old segue right there. Bad Batch. Me personally, like when I saw them in season 7 of the Clone Wars, they were just super annoying to me. Like they're just a whole bunch of like, we don't follow orders. We're too badass for that. Like we kind of do our own. It's just kind of an annoying. It's just annoying to me. And I thought I don't want to see a whole season of that. I really don't. But once again, Dave Filoni's running it. The time period that they're running in, where it's just kind of, it seems like right, Order 66-ish to, right into the beginning, and even some after the formation of the New Galactic Empire. It could definitely be interesting. Just, I don't know. Like I said, they're all kind of annoying to me.
Yeah, I mean that episode wasn't as bad as like a Jar Jar or Padme episode, but it was definitely just I don't know. I don't think it really messed with the flow of that entire season. It was a fun little, or it wasn't really that fun, but it was like a little side quest thing. I don't know, man. Like I'm I'm interested in what they're going to do with it. Again, like I'll trust in Filoni. He's given me enough. He's built up enough goodwill to where I'll at least check it out with an open mind. But I can't say my hopes are super high for that. It's just, again, it's oh yeah, we're the offbeats, we're the rejected crew, and we do things differently. Like all right, cool. Like I had enough of the clones for a while. Unless they're really going to do, the only thing I can think of that would be like really interesting to do. And again, I'm not a writer, so what do I know? But like if they, does Order 66 really impact them the same way it does for the rest of the clones? If they're, some kind of, I guess, malfunction, or, they're screwed up somehow, do they get the orders? Do they interpret those orders the same way? Are they fighting back? Are they, I'm interested. Is there a break off between them and what the clones were doing during the rise of the Empire? That to me is like, okay, that's at least interesting. But if it's just more of the if it's just a special operatives groups during the Clone War, I'm like, well, I had the whole series of the Clone Wars, and I'm good.
Yeah. Speaking of, you said not as bad as a Padme or Jar Jar episode. In close contention, there would be R2D2 and C3PO episode. They're doing a series called A Droid Story. Will you be watching a whole season of droid episodes?
Well, if maybe, I don't know. Is it just going to be R2 and C3PO?
Apparently, they're supposed to be like finding other people to journey with, because I can only listen to R2 beep for so long before it stops being cute.
Look, I'm just saying, like, look, if they were to give me an HK unit that called everyone meatbags and I was following him for maybe an episode or two, really liven things up.
They brought HK units into canon with Ahsoka episodes, so maybe.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, I can't say I have super high hopes for the droid story. It's fine. C-3PO and R2 are great as side characters, and I love them. But again, like you said, there's only so many times I hear beep beep beep, whee! And he flies off somewhere. Like, cool. Can I do 8 or 10 episodes of that? I don't think so. But well, again, we'll see what happens. I will approach these things with an open mind. So far, The Mandalorian hasn't let me down.
Here and there, it's let me down a couple times, but it's fine.
That's fair. Overall, though, I've been happy with it.
So that, yeah, I have as well. It's like the big story is really good. It's just sometimes the little side quests, the fetch quests that they're on, is just like, why are we even here? Speaking of which, I feel like like the Bill Burr episode, the original one in season 1, where they're in the going on to the New Republic prison ship and whatnot. I feel like they were trying to just set up for a spinoff here. And the next one I want to talk about is the Rangers of the New Republic. Now, there hasn't been a lot actually announced on it, but there's a lot of speculation that Bill Burr's Mayfield is going to be in it. Cara Dune's going to be in it. Even, Trapper Wolf and Carson Teva, the 2 X-Wing pilots. I don't think Trapper Wolf will, because that's Dave Filoni. I think he's a little busy to be in a whole season of stuff himself, but something like that. What do you think of that? It just, in a perfect world, they just give me like a, Star Wars universe Super Troopers, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I imagine it's going to be, more Monster of the Week kind of thing. Like, how is the New Republic? How are these? The way I would picture is like, all right, maybe kind of like an old Western. Sheriff's going into a messed up town, trying to restore order, trying to do good things, and you can have a cast of characters kind of rolling in there. I think it could be fun. I don't think it'll necessarily be as popular as Mandalorian. Maybe if Gina Carano is the lead in that, it's possible. She's fun to watch. There's what's up?
It seems to me like it would be the Iron Fist of the Defenders in this one.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah. I mean, if you give me more Jessica Jones, I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, I like Jessica Jones. But like you give me this one strong character that's like busting doing all the necessary shit to bring down like crime bosses and free various towns, and fight against the Empire strongholds in various locations. All right, yeah, like I could get behind that. That sounds fun. Again, the sheriff wanders into town, goes to the saloon, like, oh, we're having problems with these raiders or this, blah blah. All right, cool. Here's how the Republic can kind of help out and bring some kind of order and peace to the galaxy. Station by station. I think that's a fun little way to do side quests.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm cautiously I can't say I'm even optimistic about it. I'm skeptical. We'll see. I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, look, the more chance to see Bill Burr and Gina Carano in more things in Star Wars. They're clearly having fun with it. They're taking the job seriously. As long as the writing's there, all right, cool. I can give me something interesting to latch onto, and yeah, I'll watch it.
All right. Next spinoff, and this one I'm super excited for, probably more so than any movie or anything that they've been doing so far.
Yeah.
And this is the Kenobi spinoff, which they recently announced that they're bringing Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, to cast as Darth Vader. Yeah. Which while I'm okay, cool, like I can kind of get on board with that, especially to pair with Ewan McGregor coming back, who's as much as OG Obi-Wan's awesome, I think Ewan McGregor is like the best Obi-Wan. But that's I'm sure the three people that watch this will have hateful comments about that below. But I think it'd be really, really fun. I've also heard that they cast Tamora Morrison to be Commander Cody and be an antagonist in this, which I think would be a really interesting twist. Tamora Morrison is just, if you want to make money in acting, be a clone so you can be in every single spinoff. Because Tamora Morrison is going everywhere with this. The Hayden Christensen casting to me is kind of weird, in that it's like, okay, cool, it's still Darth Vader and the helmet and the robes and everything. Like, who's going to care if it's Hayden Christensen underneath it? I guess unless they're doing like a bunch of flashbacks or something like that, or if he's playing around with different armors or something. I don't know.
I mean, there's the and that goes back to the Spider-Man problems. Like, well, what does it matter who you have behind the mask if all you're ever going to see is the mask? But I think there's ways that you can, again, like you mentioned, flashbacks, broken armor, where you kind of get to see his face, or maybe he's just doing the Pedro Pascal thing where he's acting behind that. And I think it's a fun nod and a little bit of respect to the hardcore fans that have stuck with Star Wars for so long, that Hayden is coming back, and there was that. I mean, Kenobi and Ewan McGregor was like one of the two good things that ever came from the prequel trilogy. The other one being Duel of the Fates. That song, it just rocks.
I'm Darth Maul. Pod racing. Pod racing.
Okay, Darth Maul didn't become like Darth Maul was fine in Phantom Menace. I mean, really, he just had that one scene where you see both blades of his lightsaber come out and you shit yourself in excitement, and and then he didn't become much more until well deep into the Clone Wars, where he actually got
even as a Rebels, he ended up becoming a massive character in that as well.
So Darth Maul got his legs in this series long after Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace introduced him. All right, so okay, I'll give them half a win there, but they also get minus points for killing him off so quickly. I love that they're bringing back Ewan McGregor as Kenobi, and I love that I think and Dave especially gets this so well, is that these two guys, Obi-Wan and Anakin, were like brothers. That's not necessarily what Anakin needed at the time. He really needed more of a father figure, but these two guys loved each other like family, and that kind of when they split apart that really does break, I think, a central part of Obi-Wan. So I think that, at least bringing him back pays some kind of homage, or that they at least recognize that relationship is incredibly important. And I really hope that's something that the series focuses on. As much as I would love to see more lightsaber battles between those two, I really want to get them, what do they say to each other when Kenobi realizes what his brother has become? What does Hayden, does Darth Vader feel that kind of that inner turmoil when he has to try and kill Kenobi the same way that he did when he felt that for Ahsoka in Rebels? As close as Anakin and Ahsoka were in Rebels, Anakin was just as close, if not closer, to Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars. So, what role does that play? We've seen the murderous, all-powerful Vader, but what happens when he's confronted with this piece of his past? And I think I think that's the central heart of that show, and if they manage to capture that, I'm incredibly excited for that.
Yeah, same. I can't. I'm super excited for it. Can't wait to see what they do with it. Just to wrap it up, I'll kind of go out the rest of the list here, and you let me know if anything's sticking out to you. They got the Cassian Andor, the Rogue Squadron movie. They're doing a Lando thing. I don't know if it's a movie or a show. The Acolyte, and then Visions.
So Visions, I'm a huge fan of anime and animation in general. So I think if they go down the road that Halo Legends or the the Animatrix did, where they had these short stories in really artistic, different kind of things. Again, explore the universe, get weird with it. That's a great launching pad for things. So I'm very excited for that. Rogue Squadron. If you give me fucking Top Gun with X-Wings, that's really all I need. As long as it's just that at its core, fine.
Yeah.
Give me all the X. Yeah. I don't need I don't need much more than that. I'm a simple man. Andor, all right, Cassian Andor, that's cool. I mean, I already know how his series plays out, and I feel I got a lot of. To Rogue One's credit, I think his character was really well developed in that movie. So I don't know, if you're going to just show me what he was doing before that. Well, I know the interesting part of character growth is where they start to where they become. Well, I already know where he ends up. So how he starts, I feel like that maybe I've seen that journey one too many times. So I think a lot of that is going to rely on the supporting cast of what he's doing at the time. But all right, and then Lando. Look, if as long as Donald Glover comes back, I'm in. But I don't know if he will, because I don't know if he still has Atlanta going on, and he's very popular. He's a very, very busy man. So I don't know. But again, I thought Lando was the best part of that Han Solo movie, and if Donald Glover comes back and does more things, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think I could watch a bit of Lando with Donald Glover. Any other way, and it's and I don't even know. They had him a little bit in Rebels, and he was all right. I don't know how much of Lando I can honestly watch. So we'll see what they do with that. I am a bit interested in the Acolyte. They're getting out of this era and going to the High Republic era. And what's more interesting is an Acolyte is a Sith apprentice, not a Jedi apprentice. So it's kind of flipping the side. Or I don't know if apprentice is the right word on that one, but it's the viewpoint of the High Republic from kind of the Sith side is at least what I'm getting out of it so far. That could be really interesting because I've always thought that Star Wars could be a little bit more interesting if it wasn't just black and white, good and evil. Like if it was just like this is our view of what's right and this is our view of what's right, and it's a clash, and you yourself as the viewer have to choose somebody to be with. So kind of flipping that side and having a character to sympathize with in a completely new era where Skywalkers don't exist. Like I can get on board with that, and I'm hearing really good reviews. I'm seeing some people saying some really good things about the High Republic books. I'm way too slow of a reader to even be up on that, but one day I hope to read them. I'm still reading Heir to the Empire right now, so we'll see. Visions is probably the one that I'm most excited about. You and I have talked about it before about how animation in general is quite honestly a bit more of a superior style of storytelling.
Yeah,
There's just a lot more really good things you could do. I remember I found like this YouTube channel that just did like anime intros for like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and whatnot. I remember watching
yeah,
those, going, "These look way better than the movies. Like, give me that. I want
yeah,
to watch that." Star Wars looks
yeah,
like it would be a lot better as an anime, so I would
yeah.
love to see something like that. Um, Rogue Squadron, I could give or take. Yeah, I'll see it. I'll probably enjoy it. Whatever. I can, we'll see. We'll see what happens out of it. But yeah, that's about where I'm at.
That's fair. That's fair. I look. I'm all for Patty Jenkins. Directing Rogue Squadron. I think she's shown herself to be a good director. The fact that she's like, like bringing the pilots to the forefront of this. Some of the most exciting parts of the original Star Wars trilogy were the dogfights, the X-wings versus the TIE fighters, and all this other kind of space battles going on. I'm like, you just give me a whole movie of that. I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah.
So it's really like, again, I'm a very simple man to please. Just dogfights, and I'm in.
All right. Well, good talk, man. All right. Well,
Good times.
yeah. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. Thanks to everybody who actually decided to watch, especially for our first episode. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, comments, things that you want to hear about, please leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what you want to hear about. Just general nerd culture in general. If you can find it at Comic-Con, we want to talk about it. You can reach out to us on Twitter at GNerdities or on our Instagram at General Nerdities, all one word. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.